Hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. It's your girl, Kamie Crawford, and today we have Alyx Liu in the building. Hairstylist to the stars, Demi Lovato, Ariana Grande, working. Booked and busy.
And
the founder of Utiless Beauty and an advocate for the queer community. Alyx, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kamie, for having me.
Of course.
I'm so excited to be here, especially as someone who's like gender nonconforming and part of the queer community. It's like, I'm so happy to be here lending my voice to your podcast and let's talk about it all.
I'm honored. I'm honored. I need people to know that we go way back as of 3 days ago.
Yeah, right? I was like,
We are best friends.
Mm-hmm.
We've known each other for such a long time.
Yes.
We met, this is going to sound like the most LA shit ever.
Okay.
We met at Ashley Tisdale's house.
Yes.
In the
yes,
hills.
we did. Frenchie. The Frenchie dinner.
Yes, the Frenchie dinner. And what a fucking amazing dinner that was.
It really was. I loved how intentional all the questions were. I mean,
I loved it.
I felt like it really forced people to be vulnerable.
Yes. They
And
had like an icebreaker. So for those of you who weren't at Ashley Tisdale's house, Ashley Tisdale, you know her, you love her. High School Musical.
Frenchie, founder of Frenchie. Powerful woman. We love to see it.
She's
Mother.
So sweet. That was my first time meeting her.
That was my first time meeting her. Beautiful.
Loved.
More than beautiful gowns. How about that?
Beautiful gowns.
More than just that.
It was just a really genuine space to be in. And I don't know about you, I try to avoid influencer events as much as possible.
I was literally going to bring this up right now.
Yeah.
It happens all the time where it's like, it gets really shallow at these events, or it's very surface level of the same questions that we ask people whenever we see them again or see them in passing. Hey, how you doing? Oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God, you're doing so great.
But this,
you're so busy. Are you busy?
Yeah,
you're
right.
busy. Me too. So busy.
Yeah, I can't get dinner. No, I know. We have to get one on the books.
We have to get drinks.
Have to. But this dinner kind of cut right to it, didn't it?
Yeah. It was, first of all, y'all, I need you to understand, there were handcrafted cocktails that like match the vibe of the sense of the products from Being Frenchie, which by Being Frenchie, it's at Target. This is not a sponsored episode, but it's becoming an Ashley Tisdale Stan Club Being Frenchie sponsored podcast.
And warranted.
Warranted.
Yeah.
It was so lovely. And I get like super crazy anxiety before these kinds of things because I'm just like, especially when I haven't met someone. She and I met on Instagram, like in the DM over COVID. So like we were bonding over the fact that we both kept
Everybody,
COVID.
COVID was like a big communication era.
It
so
was.
yeah, so you met her then.
It was. We met then. And then met. Virtually met. And then she invited me to this event. And I went, and it was so just like lovely to be around everyone. We didn't even get to meet properly at the dinner because we were on opposite sides of the table and away from each other. But basically, y'all, they had questions for everyone to answer. And they were some deep ass questions, and people were getting very like vulnerable and deep. And I think my question was, what was my question? Oh, how do you show up? How do you show love to yourself and others? And did you have the same question?
I had, what was the most difficult thing to love about yourself?
That was your question.
Yeah.
And when you answered it, I was like, who is this person? They need to come on the podcast. We need to talk about this right away.
Okay, but was my voice shaking when I was like, oh my God, I'm shivering answering this.
Not even close.
Because, obviously being genderqueer and stuff and like having to answer in a room full of cisgendered women, like I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to be understood or like accepted here because everyone has very real issues and one struggle doesn't detract from another struggle. But I was like, motherhood's a very serious thing, and like as is personal struggles with rebounding from like the toll of pregnancy and all these things, and even just the normal stresses of just being a woman, like and I would never take away from other people's struggles. So I was like, I hope my voice doesn't feel like I'm imparting, you know what I mean, like trying to occupy space here where necessarily I feel like I don't necessarily always fit in, but I think that was my own internalized anxiety of being genderqueer and gender nonconforming,
which I'm sure it probably happens so often.
Yeah.
And then you realize sometimes I'm sure that it's like it's warranted, like you are valid in feeling that way. But then in spaces like that, it's like, oh, it's so loving and everyone's so warm that it's like, okay, this is a
once I
safe
started
space.
seeing people's faces and like seeing your faces and like being like I was like, honestly, it felt really inclusive and like I felt very included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing your answer?
Yeah. So the most difficult part about loving myself has just been my journey of becoming myself. I think that it's been so difficult to navigate the world growing up in, well, I was born in 91. So growing up in the 90s where everything was still very much cisgendered and by the binary, meaning boy and girl. And you grew up in these categories of boy and girl and through school and everything. You got your locker rooms, you got your bathrooms, you got everything's like so gendered, right?
Yeah.
So having to grow up and being like, I feel like I don't really belong like as a boy, but I also don't feel like I belong as a girl. And being like growing up under the impression that I'm a boy that is more feminine, like I felt trapped in that box. Like I felt like, okay, but I still need to look like a boy. So like I spent most of my youth really confused, and I don't think my parents, lovely, supportive, and all around beautiful people who did their best, but like they weren't prepared to deal with a queer child. Both my brothers are cisgendered and straight, and married or engaged. And it was very difficult growing up. So, and they were both very sporty. So there's a lot of pressures to fit into the box of like boy or girl.
Where do you fall in the siblings?
I'm the middle child. So
wow.
I'm like the problem black sheep of the family, and including like I'm Mexican and Chinese, and my dad's an immigrant from Taiwan, and my mom's a first generation from Mexico. And they, neither have come from like generational wealth of any kind. So it was very much like, we're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So like if y'all are going to be doing your things, like we just need you to study and work hard. And so everything's been about work for me. So like kind of circling back to the point of like what was the most difficult part about loving myself is that I needed to allow myself to explore myself. I think through college and everything too, like there was so much pressure to fit in. Like I didn't want to be different. Like and I think that the difficulty of all of this too is existing where there's beauty standards for women and beauty standards for men. But there was no representation of what it meant to be in between or non-binary or genderqueer. And there was no representation of that community. There was gay men. So then I was like, okay, cool, I guess I'm a gay man. And I think, well, I went to Pepperdine, which is a very more like conservative Christian school.
Yeah.
Actually was the same year as Kayla.
Nicole.
Yeah, Kayla Nicole. Yeah, same year as her. I went to school with her.
Come on, Pepperdine.
Yeah, it's so funny, right?
We recruit all of our relationship guests from Pepperdine.
Right, it's so funny. But I actually had a hard time fitting in there. And I kind of was like, okay, well, how can I look like a man? Like, I'll still be a little femme, but like, I'm still going to be I'm going to be a gay man. And then once I broke that box, but I really had to break that box. It was during COVID, so I really developed late in life in terms of my gender identity.
Really?
Yeah, 28.
Just recently?
Yeah, when I was 28, 29, that's when I was like, I'm just not a man. Like, I just am fully understanding I'm not a man.
Yeah.
I am genderqueer. I'm gender nonconforming. Like, I don't conform to any of the societal and cultural expectations of what it means to be a man or a woman.
Yeah.
So I just am me. And that's why I call myself gender nonconforming, which is a form of non-binary. So non-binary is kind of like an umbrella term kind of vibe.
Well, that's the thing that I wanted to kind of break down because I have friends who are gender nonconforming. And, the part that people don't understand when, like, you look at the trans flag.
Yeah.
Because when people think about trans people, they think about trans men or women.
Yeah.
But there's that white area of the flag that represents non-binary people. But there are so many different terms to...
Right.
I don't know.
Like distinguish.
Exactly. So there's gender nonconforming, there's non-binary, there's gender fluid, there's gender neutral, two-spirit. And, well, I want to talk about the two-spirit for a second.
Yeah.
Because two-spirit people have existed long before.
Well, we all have existed long before, and that's the
Right.
thing. I think that people think that we're something new, but no, if you look in history, pre-colonization, we've been around.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The binary is westernized Christian
Exactly. It's
takeover colonizer culture.
And I just want to make sure that everyone knows I'm not trying to say you can't be a man or you can't be a woman. I said be authentic.
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think it's a sliding scale. I mean, I would say I'm more femme than some cisgendered women.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for them?
Right.
I'm not taking away from their womanhood. I'm just doing me. So just everyone should do them and like stay most authentic to however they identify, however they choose to express themselves. At the end of the day, we're just wearing clothes.
We're just wearing clothes.
We're born naked into this world, and we just decided to assign attributes to makeup and clothes and heels and shoes and things and you know, so all that stuff's made up. And
We're
like
all born naked and the rest is drag.
but the categories and the binary is made to control people, you know. I want to attribute a lot of my knowledge to Alyx, who is a trans femme non-binary who's so extremely scholarly in this, and they do a lot of education on this topic too. But yeah, we've existed throughout time. And I recently connected with my Mexican side of my family, and the Zapotecs had a group of people called Mushe, which is like third gender, transgender, and people who are like not who basically don't conform to the gender binary. Yeah. And so they've existed in the past for like pre-colonization, and it wasn't until the Spaniards started forcing Christianity and their language and all the things onto them, in which they started to get smaller and smaller. The Mushe people do still exist too in certain areas of Mexico, so I'm lucky that or the community is lucky that we still exist, right, despite many attempts to extinguish us. Yes. But yeah, I think that's why seeing us throughout history has made me love myself even more. Yes. And made me realize that this is not something new. I think I've been led to believe that it's something new because they did a really good job at trying to keep us on a hush.
They did good. If there's one thing that they did good at, it was that.
Yeah,
they wanted
to
eradicate as much as possible. Yeah. And then that's why you have this whole period of time where it feels like, for a lot of people, and I'm sure we have some people listening, our listeners are very open-minded and open-hearted and knowledgeable. Yeah. I like to believe. But then I know we have some people who are listening who are like, this whole new thing about gender nonconforming, it's not new. Yeah. It's not new.
We've been here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. And making history, and also making so many strides and breaking so many barriers and creating so many opportunities and developing so many products. It exists way more than people want to believe, because people are so stuck in their own binaries.
Totally.
And their own spaces and their own bubbles. And I guess I just never understood that, because I'm just like, nobody tells me what the fuck to do.
Right? So you're just being you. You're just being you.
Me. I'm just being me.
Yeah.
And clothes are just clothes. Makeup is just makeup. It's not reserved for any one person. And like you were just saying, speaking about your experience and living authentically for yourself doesn't take away from anybody else's experience.
No, and that's why it's like, why do I have to fight for the right to exist?
Yes.
And use the bathroom, you know? Babes, you want me to put myself in a men's restroom?
Yeah.
That's dangerous to me, because people out there are, quite frankly, transphobic and queerphobic and homophobic. Yes. And it's like, why would I put myself in situations that are only going to put me up to violence?
Right. On top of racist, also.
Yeah, let's factor in racism there. It's like, babes, I don't even want to even be in there to begin with. Yeah. I promise you, we're all safer if I go into the women's restroom, because... Or a gender neutral bathroom, but unfortunately there aren't a lot of those out in the world. And then you factor in gyms. It's like, where do I go during the gym? It's like, babes, I don't want to go into a men's locker room with long hair, high heels, and my makeup, because socially and culturally that's not acceptable when you're a man. So I'm just gonna go in whatever locker room I feel comfortable in that day. Yeah. Usually it's the women's locker room, because I go to the gym with a beat face.
Yes.
And nobody bats a motherfucking eye.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I can cuss.
This is called Relationshit.
Okay.
Cursing is encouraged.
Nobody bats a motherfucking eye lash. No. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And I just mind my own business, as people should. Yes. It's the fucking bathroom.
Yeah.
So let me get changed into my gym clothes and let's all be on our way.
It's just the world is... Yeah. And it's like, we're able to acknowledge it in certain aspects of things. I think at this point, hopefully everyone knows that racism is wrong.
Yeah.
But why can we not understand that transphobia is wrong? Why can we not understand that homophobia is wrong? Why can we not understand that xenophobia is wrong? Why can we not... why can we... People like to pick and choose, and that's what I don't fuck with. Because if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it makes people feel uncomfortable, isolated, demeaned, it's wrong.
Totally.
Why is that so fucking hard for people to understand?
I know. I think it's people are holding on to things that they feel controlled by too. So they want to control others too. They're like, if I have to live by this, so do you.
Yeah.
And you don't fit what I am told that I have to live by. So
Right.
here I am projecting.
But the thing is, you don't have to live that way.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, just do you, babes. My existence does not interfere with yours.
Yes. Yes.
Other than occupying the same oxygen, which we both are required to breathe,
Right.
babes.
Right.
But you being mad that I'm here is not going to change the fact that I am living on this
Period.
earth with you.
So move aside.
Yeah. And people like me have always existed
Right.
here
Right.
on this earth with you.
Yeah.
So you can either stay mad or you can like exist alongside me and just like love yourself enough to love me too. You know what I mean?
That's what it's about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about love for a second.
Okay. And sorry, we never got to the end of that question. But you know, being gender nonconforming, it's been a journey to get to loving myself.
Yeah.
And it's been really difficult because of the boxes I felt that I had to fit growing up. You
Yeah.
know? So, but anyways, that's the end of that
But
question.
now you're breaking it. So
I've broken the box
Yeah.
and now I'm just like fully living in my authentic self. And I think that once you start living for you, instead of trying to adhere to any standards, whether it's standards of beauty or standards, because there is no standard of beauty for people who are non-binary or genderqueer. What does that look like? That doesn't look like anything. So now I'm just chasing something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So any sort of form of standard of beauty, it's either associated with femininity or masculinity. And it's like, great, where's the in-between? But I would love to bridge that gap somehow and just be like, everybody's beautiful in, you know, whatever way they can feel beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think it's an innate energy too.
But then it also transfers to your work because a lot of your work is making people feel beautiful.
That too.
And look beautiful. You go outside,
Right.
child.
Totally,
I'm
so.
like, when you gonna hook me up?
Period. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's get these in
Let's
together.
go.
So recently,
Yes.
recently as in yesterday, you hosted a LGBTQIA plus positive speed dating event,
Yeah.
which I need to know exactly what went down, how it went. I honestly was jealous that I couldn't go, but I didn't qualify. I didn't have the jurisdiction or the qualifications to attend.
You could have gone if you are attracted to folks of the queer community, being trans men or this, that, and the other.
I am very attracted to trans men.
Okay, period. See, there we go.
However, I have a boyfriend.
Oh, to you. You know what? Fair. Totally fair.
Not available.
Right, totally fair. So I hosted a queer speed dating event yesterday, and that stemmed, like, I really wanted to do this for a long time because I feel like a lot of the dating shows and a lot of the romance that we see portrayed in media, whether it's scripted or reality, it's like all based in cis hetero norms or cisgendered norms, whether it's like a gay dating show or, you know, whatever.
Right.
But I felt there was a need to expand into the genderqueer audience, whether they're trans or non-binary, but also inclusive of gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, however people identify. As we know, gender and sexuality are very separate.
Some people don't know that.
And you know, there are many educational podcasts to
Yes.
discuss that in
Please
books.
go
Please
revert
read
there and then come back here.
But gender and sexuality are very different.
Yes.
So while you can be assigned male at birth, it does not necessarily mean that you associate yourself with that sex.
Yes.
And then with that being said, you can be a trans man, but also still be gay.
Yeah. Yes.
That's just what it is.
Yes.
You know? And you don't get to choose that. You just are born into it. And
Right.
life is about realizing these things, you know? It's not like you change from being a straight woman to being a trans man who is gay.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's always been. You just took a long time to realize that.
Yes.
Because I think of, like I said, all the boxes that people are placed into and how sexuality and gender are so linear in cis hetero patriarchy. So with all that being said, though, I wanted to host a dating event specifically for the queer community. And I wanted to be inclusive of all. So I really wanted everyone to feel welcomed, regardless of how they identified. And yeah, there was just a need for it.
Yeah.
I craved it. And there have been some other ones, but I wanted to create something that was really relationship focused, and whether that was networking or romantic, platonic, and all of it. You know, we place a lot of relationship hierarchies, but at the end of the day, I know a lesbian and a gay man sitting across from each other, they're not going to fall in love.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes.
So like at the end of the day, I was like really stressing to everyone who was there. I was like, listen, communication's key.
Yeah.
state your preferences. And like, we know that I don't expect everyone to be a match. And let it be a time and space for you guys to understand one another and learn a little bit more about each other's experiences. And we had little cue cards too for them to answer. And it's like, regardless of your sexuality or gender, you can answer where the hell in the world you want to go next. And why do you want to go there? And like, what would you do there? Like those were like some examples of things that were on the cue cards. So a gay man and a lesbian woman can still bond over like, hey, I want to go to Greece. Oh, I really wanted to go there too, you know? So I just really wanted to prioritize queer joy. So queer joy and queer love, which I feel like is oftentimes lost through all the education and fighting for our rights and all these things, right? So, and I think that right now that's like a big conversation. That's a big point for me, at least in my mission and goal in life. It's like, I really want to help bring queer joy to the forefront. I want to create visibility because it's not there, you know, and we need to get there so that way queer people can see examples of queer love and queer joy. And I think it's super important work.
It is.
We shouldn't have to only be talking about how I deserve to exist. I want to exist and see other queers exist and love, you know? I want to see love stories. I want to hear about love stories. I love gay love stories. That's all I feel like I can maybe even grasp onto now. And at that, it's very bare minimum. You know what I mean? Like we get like 1 or 2 a year or like, you know, a few indie films here and there that are like artsy. But I would love to make it more mainstream, you know? And beyond the cisgendered queers or cisgendered gays, but more on the genderqueer spectrum too. So I think that that's kind of like my mission right now in life.
I love
of course, beyond hairstyling and and beautifying the beautiful. But I really, it's like one of my passions and hobbies in life to really take time and creating the world that I want to see.
I am falling in love with everything that you're saying because I can only speak as a cishet woman, like, but as a Black woman, and just we've seen, we know, but like the history, the pain, the Black struggle, which obviously race and gender and sex
layered.
It's layered. It's layered. But in just like trying to put myself in what that experience could possibly feel like on a different kind of level, thinking about, for Black people, the struggle, the pain, the hurt, all of those things that we have to endure, but still we have to endure, obviously. Finally getting to a place of celebration and joy and like seeing yourself celebrated and included and being a part of conversations and just in exactly what you were saying. I was just thinking like, wow, like from having to go from fighting for your rights and your right to exist and be considered a human being to trying to experience joy and just wanting to celebrate that. I feel like if you come from any kind of minority, you can try to put yourself in the shoes of someone who is trying to achieve the exact same thing as you and your people have tried to achieve. And then you add all the other layers on top of it, of course. But like, you know, I don't know.
It's been, in the last few years, it's been really like, I've realized a lot. Prioritization of joys, especially in minorities and oppressed communities. And how important that is to these communities, you know? It's kind of like what you're saying. There's many layers. Being a woman, being Black, and, you know, it's all a lot. Like, and through like the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, I posted a lot, and my Black girlfriend's like, listen, I love you. I'm going to mute you for a little bit because like I need to just enjoy life, you know? Like, I don't need to hear about the Black struggle. I am the Black struggle. And I'm like, she's like, I just am trying to like exist without being reminded that like I am so oppressed simply by existing. And like, I get that. And like, similarly, I can relate, you know, and one struggle doesn't detract from another struggle, 1000%. But like the queer experience too is similar, where it's like, I also want to like prioritize the joy.
Like, I don't want to talk about bathrooms all the time.
Like, right? It's like, you know,
I'm trying to meet somebody.
Right. Like, should I be able to get married? Yeah. I feel like that shouldn't be up for debate. Like, should I be able to use the restroom of my choosing, whichever I feel safest and most comfortable in, I think, I feel like, why is this up for debate?
Yeah.
You know, like I would love to just live.
Yeah.
You know, personally, I would love to live and enjoy and honestly see that.
Yeah.
Beyond the fighting for rights, which is super necessary. I want to also state.
Yes.
Like the fighting for Black rights and voting rights and, you know, trans rights, queer rights, all the rights.
Yes.
Like, of course, people should have rights.
But let's prioritize the joy.
Yeah, let's prioritize the joy and make it forefront, you know?
So were love connections made last night?
Yeah, there were a few. Yeah, there were a few.
Did you meet anybody?
No, so I was hosting, so I didn't want to participate since it was the first time, so I really wanted to like focus on the hosting of it all. But yeah, there were people who were like, I really vibed with this person. I hope we match. So we're still tallying up like the matches and stuff, but
what about your friend that was at the dinner?
Sarah. Okay, so she wasn't able to make it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. She was like, I'm so excited to go. I know she wasn't able to make it, but it's fine. Like I wanted her to take care of her mental health, so I was like, do your thing, girl.
Understand.
Like if you need to take a day, take a day. It doesn't matter.
She was so excited about it, and I wanted to hear the tea if she actually met someone.
So yeah, trust me, I wanted to too. I was like, I think she might find a few people that she might vibe with, but we had a great turnout regardless. So, and it was my first one, so it's only going to get bigger and better from here. So I'm really looking forward to hosting more queer joy centered focused events. So we have like a queerioke that I'm gonna hopefully host. I know, yeah. So it'll be specifically for those of genderqueer experience or the LGBTQIA plus community to really just have a space to like have fun. You know,
that is so iconic. And
yeah,
fun.
there's
I
a few
love
other
that
things.
Name.
Yeah, right.
Did you come up with that?
Yeah, myself and the owner of the studio, Hodega.
I have never heard of that, and you need to fucking trademark that shit right now.
Right?
Because that's incredible.
Okay, so you know, like dating reality shows, I have a really fun one. So if there are any producers or reality show people out there who want to invest in shows, I think Bachelorettes, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. But like, what's a genderqueer one? Like Bachelor X? Isn't that funny?
That would be fucking amazing.
I don't know how it would work, but like...
Well, I host the show Are You the One?
Yeah, you guys actually had a queer season, right?
Yes, they did. Well, was it Are You the One or was it X on the Beach? I think it was Are You.
Somebody was telling me that.
It was Are You the One? Yes. I should know this because
it was like season 8 or something. Someone literally last night told me, because I was like, there's no reality shows about queer people. They're like, actually, I know of one. Yeah. And it was messy as hell.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, T.
But I heard it was so good.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to watch that season because they just kind of like threw me in there. I think I'd only watched one full season. Oh, don't kill me. But it was iconic because you have all of these people. Like, why can't it be like that?
Totally.
But we don't see that in reality TV often.
No, not at all.
But MTV, you know, they've always been at the forefront.
They really have.
Yeah.
Of the LGBTQIA plus experience.
Yeah.
And honestly, dating reality shows in general.
Yeah.
So they've always led the charge.
Yes.
Yeah.
How has the dating experience been for you?
You mean like in real life?
In real life.
It's hard. It's really hard. I think navigating a predominantly cisgendered world, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So luckily the dating apps have kind of changed the way they have people identify on apps and what they are interested in. So like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, they now have like options for male, female, and then genderqueer / non-binary. And I marked that third one. So I would say it's really hard because I end up matching with a lot of straight people who aren't educated on the topic of genderqueerness.
Oh my God.
But you can imagine, or you can probably guess what happens in these conversations with straight men
fetishization,
who match me. Exploration. I'm like, I'm not an explorative tool. I'm level 1000, babes.
Yes.
You got to come correct.
Yes, exactly.
You have to meet me there or else it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna be there and like, you not want to make out with me and I only suck your dick. Like, bitch, that's not, like, we're not doing that.
Or like,
I'm not a sex worker.
Yes.
Unless you're going to pay me, then we can talk. But you ain't paying me. So no, I'm not doing this work for nothing. I need to have, like, there needs to be mutual pleasure and enjoyment. And that's not no dom sub thing because there has to still be mutual enjoyment. And if I'm not enjoying, if I'm not enjoying myself,
are weird,
right? Okay, so anyways, so I end up matching a lot with straight people on Bumble. Bumble's like my choice app only because I get the most matches there. Hinge, I don't really do well on. Tinder, I get matches, but nobody responds. I get a lot of straight people who are expecting a assigned female at birth who are genderqueer. So they identify as a man and they mark that little genderqueer box. But genderqueer, the genderqueer option doesn't specify or clarify assigned male at birth or assigned female at birth.
Got it.
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. It should not matter. Because at the end of the day, if a straight man is on the street and sees a woman, is he like, I like her because her vagina? No,
Right.
I like her because she's beautiful.
Right.
And she is the, femme or mix or blend of what I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
Which they're entitled to. I end up getting matched with a lot of straight men, cisgendered straight men, who are attracted to, I think, my hyper femininity. And I am feminine. However, I don't hide the fact that I have chest hair or facial hair. Like, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of privileges that come along with being female passing, which by first glance, I think I am female passing by many and by most, with the long hair and all that, heels, makeup, clothing, everything, on a social and cultural level and expectation of what it means to look like a woman. So yeah, like I end up getting a lot of straight matches, and it ends up fizzling out once I tell them, I'm like, hey, did you read my bio?
Yeah.
I'm assigned male at birth. I'm very upfront about this, so I have male anatomy. Great. Do you mind if you dress like a woman?
Sweetie,
I'm like, babes, what you
out.
see is what you get. Like, I'm not...
Log out for me.
Literally, I'm not going to change myself for you. Like, why would you think that that's what's going to happen? Can you wear like a thong and like, can you wear like a bra? I'm like,
They
no.
ask you this shit?
Yes.
Can you wear, if a fucking man was in my fucking
Can you dress
inbox talking about, can you wear anything?
Can you wear a dress? I'm like, that's not really my gender expression.
How about can you go to hell?
Yeah, literally. Can you not exist?
Can you get the fuck off this app?
Can you get off the planet?
They want for you to match whatever they have in their mind
Exactly.
of what they should be attracted to. Like, then just go and like click women. Click interested in women.
Don't select the genderqueer option as something you're interested in if that's not genuinely what you're interested in, because you're wasting everybody's time here. And it's not like it also means you didn't read my bio, which in my bio I'm upfront about it. And also, I don't think genderqueer people should have to be upfront about telling people what they're assigned at birth, but I do, because I know it cuts through the bullshit.
Well, that's
but
what
unfortunately, people
like...
don't divulge that. But
right.
yeah.
But I remember at the dinner when you introduced yourself, you immediately stated your pronouns, which that you're welcome to all pronouns.
Yeah, any and all.
But do you feel pressure to have to say that up front? Like, is it just what you do normally, or is it something that you feel like you have to kind of get ahead of, if that's the right way to ask?
Yeah, no, totally. I do feel like it's something I have to get ahead of, because oftentimes people are quick to label, right? He, she, they, them. That's how we identify. And like labels are everything in Western culture and society. So like, I get it, and it's totally fair. And I want to always like bring that to the forefront, that I use all pronouns, because I don't feel like tied to any being gender nonconforming. Like, I'm not trans, so I don't use the she, her, and I'm not a man, so I don't use he, him, and I don't truly feel like they, them. I just feel like everything. Like, I don't give power to pronouns, so that's why I personally don't necessarily like affiliate myself with any pronoun. Just, you can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me ugly.
Yeah.
You know?
Period.
Literally, don't call me ugly. Don't call me broke.
Like, don't lie now, okay?
Yeah.
Don't lie.
But yeah, so I mean, when it comes to like pronouns and stuff, I do kind of like put that up front, because I feel like a lot of my cisgendered brothers and sisters out there are curious. They're like, wait, how do you know? Because it gives a little more insight as to how I identify my gender, you know, which is fair.
I feel like people are
people
also so terrified of getting things wrong. But I feel like you could just also ask or do a little research.
Totally. And I don't take offense at all. I mean, that's also, you might catch the wrong queer, but I'm not the one to take offense. I'm all about education too, when I have mental capacity for it. Yeah, no, I always kind of tell people, just, I'm upfront. I'm like gender nonconforming. I don't really care.
Yes.
You can call me whatever you want.
Yeah. I feel like, my sisters and I were just having a conversation earlier about my sister. Poor thing. She was having a whole morning. She was having a mess of a day. She was like, I'm just going to go get some food. She goes to get some food, and the person who was serving her the food was like, here you go, sir. And my sister identifies as a woman. Pronouns she, her. And she was just like, you would think that, you know, for her, she would be like, why the fuck would she say? She was like, why are we gendering anyone? why are we gendering anyone?
Yeah,
why
I hate the sir and the ma'ams. I'm like,
why are,
ma'am.
Yeah, and even that,
Sir.
like, as a ma'am, I don't want to be called ma'am, okay?
Right.
Don't call me ma'am. That makes me feel like I'm 95 years
yeah,
old.
it's an old term.
It's an old ass. First of all, if you're gonna gender me, don't call me an old ass bitch. I'm young.
Call me lady.
Young,
Call me
lady.
doll. Call me.
But she was just like, why are we gendering?
Yeah.
Like, it's 2023. You
Yeah.
don't like, why are you giving somebody else a label or
You don't
something?
know me.
You don't know me.
Yeah.
Child. Anyways.
Yeah.
So I know that you're still navigating the dating scene, but we have some people who wrote in because they are struggling
Okay. Yeah.
with the dating scene, especially queer dating.
Yeah.
So are you ready to answer?
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. All right. Someone said, hang on. I do want to vent on this one. Girl,
Yeah.
I feel like lately in the WLW, so women loving women community, people are really leaning so hard into gender roles and masc versus femme, and it's frustrating. I feel more fluid than that. Some days I want to dress in boy clothes. Some days I want to be in more glam. I feel like it's hard to be accepted unless I'm fitting into a box 100% of the time because everyone is so into their masc femme rigid role. It's tough when even the LGBT relationships are pushing gender norms.
That's the patriarchy. There has to be a balance of masculine and feminine. But breaking that patriarchy and like understanding that like the gender roles don't need to be balanced. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like that's freedom, you know? But that is also their preference, you know? So like we want to be respectful of their preference too. And maybe they're understanding that maybe they're not lesbian and it sounds like they might be gender fluid. I don't want to push labels on them, but however, I think they should explore their gender more and maybe be open to those who are also of a possible genderqueer identity.
Yeah.
Because they might find the balance that they're looking for, or they might find that person, the person that they're looking for who values them for their fluidity in some days I want to be more masc, some days I want to be more femme. The same goes for me. Like being gender nonconforming, I can literally wake up and like wear more male clothes, I guess. It won't feel natural, but you know what I mean? But like, I mean, at home when I take, you know, when I take my outdoor clothes off and I get into like my pajamas, everybody's wearing the same shit. Everyone's wearing like an oversized t-shirt and sweatpants, or no sweatpants, just an oversized t-shirt. It's like, that's just the vibes, you know? It's like, I don't know. So why do we have to attribute like male and masc and femininity with like clothes even? But yeah, I think she should really just lean into exploration of dating people who maybe don't identify as a cisgendered woman who is more on the masc side.
Yeah.
And if that's what she's into, she'll find the right one to value her for her gender fluidity or her expression.
Yes.
Her variation
and
and expression.
exploration.
Yeah.
It's okay to be figuring it out. I think that's
Totally.
the beauty about the community is like you can, there's room for exploration.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people are like, well, then does that mean I'm not lesbian? So I'm changing my sexual. It's not that you're changing, you're just realizing.
Yeah.
So I think that like once because these are all labels.
Right.
They're made up. They're
Right.
made up categories in which we feel like we have to like live in and abide by. Like, really, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And give yourself grace and
Yeah.
space to be able to grow. And like, what are you going to just stay over here because people told you to? Fuck
Right. Right.
Fuck that.
Literally, I know nothing. We all know nothing. We're literally born
Yeah.
in this world naked and afraid, and now we have a credit score.
Yeah. Fuck.
Like, babes, I don't know. Like, we're just realizing things, okay?
Now we're paying taxes and
Yeah.
fucking shit's a mess.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. It sometimes gets a little bit difficult when your partner doesn't see you as queer. Like, I understand that you are gay and fall for guys, and physically I am one, but there is so much more to me than that. So if you keep referring to me as a guy, it just shows me that you're not seeing me as me. You're just seeing the D. Haha. I might be joking around, but it can be difficult because you want to be seen, and it feels like you're constantly having to prove that you're queer because they're not seeing it. Have you ever been in that position where you're dating someone and like they don't, I guess, accept your fluidity?
Yeah. That sounds like a very toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that they're going through that, but I hope that they can. I mean, it's not their job to educate their partner, but I hope that their partner can come to realize that that's really harmful.
Yeah.
To like, not doubt, but associate their sexual organs with their gender identity. Like, you know, that's like not necessarily fair. And also, femininity doesn't mean like passivity in bed or, you know, like there are plenty of like femme tops in the gay community or whatever, right? But like, that's really hard, and I don't think that they're the one. But maybe they're not looking for the one. Maybe they're just having casual fun. But I think just understanding like what this relationship means to you and knowing that they can't meet you there. And maybe if a gay man is interested in you and you identify as genderqueer, I think your partner has to understand that they're not a gay man. They might fall more in the category of pansexual. But again, we're labeling things. Like sexuality is a spectrum. So it's like you can like men and also only like assigned male at births, people who are assigned male at birth. You know what I mean? Genderqueers that are assigned male at birth. And that's totally fair because that's sexual compatibility, you know? Physical attraction and sexual compatibility are also, I feel like, two different things too, right? Which is what happens with me with straight men. It's like they're physically attracted to me, but maybe sexually we might not be compatible, and that's fair. But I think that might be something for your partner to deal with. Like their partner needs to figure out like why they're forcing manhood on them. No, that's real. It sucks. That's real. Yeah, it sucks because everyone wants to feel seen and understood. It's a matter of respect. Just genuine respect. Like, you respect everybody. You should respect me too as your partner. Right. But as a human, like I don't identify as a male. Yeah, I have a dick, but like that doesn't make me male. Yeah. You know? Yes. So just like boobs don't make a woman a woman. No. You know what I mean? Like how many men do you know that have like man boobs?
And how many women do you know that don't have boobs?
Period. Or who have like mosquito bites or whatever. It's like that doesn't make you a woman.
Right. Well, it
doesn't make you a man.
And this is the thing.
To have a dick.
I could rant about this forever. Right? Oh my God. But like when people are like, well, women are able to have babies, not every woman
can have babies. So what does that make them less of a woman? What are we saying
women
here?
have their period. Well, there are intersex women who don't have uteruses who can't menstruate. Yeah. So does that make them less of a woman?
This is a really important conversation. I'm so glad we're having it.
Me too.
Yeah. I hope they figure their situation out, by the way. That's really tough. And that cannot feel good to not be seen by their partner.
Right. I think that regardless of who you are and how you identify, you deserve better than someone who does not accept and love the fullness of you. Like I'm not going to be half of or a sliver of a person that you accept to be with you.
Totally.
You have to be able to be yourself authentically and fully and be loved and adored for that.
Totally.
Entirely. Like you deserve to be loved wholly.
Totally.
And I don't think you should be with anyone who's making you feel like less of who you are. Totally. Because it makes them feel better.
Totally. And I think that with that being said, though, like communication's key too, right? So like if you're not communicating how you feel, they can't address that also. Right. But also understanding that is this partner just for casual intercourse where you're just having fun and like you don't necessarily need to think about the they're not validating me. It's like if you're going to have just pleasure, a mutual exchange of pleasure, great, wonderful. Yeah. Set the terms, set the boundaries. That's what you're doing.
That's joy, honey.
Yeah, exactly. But if you do care and like you guys actually have a genuine partnership and relationship of sorts, and that matters to you, you need to communicate that and make sure that you're taking care of yourself because you need to love. You're not loving yourself by letting someone dishonor you, basically dishonor who you are. You know.
I love you seeing every side of the equation.
You know, I was just like, let me make sure. I'm a Leo.
Leo?
But you know what though? My Mars and Venus are in Virgo, so I'm very calculative with my love, sex, and aggression. Yes. So I'm very calculative there. But that's why when you're talking about your little pillows in the beginning, I'd be like,
oh my God, the marshmallow pillows. That was an offline conversation.
Sorry.
It was the rising Virgo in me just Virgoing as she does. But
so I get it.
This thing, gender things that don't have a gender. That's one of my favorite things to do. Like the Virgo in me, she.
Oh, I love everything's a she, girl.
Her.
She is gorgeous.
She is stunning.
She. Delicious.
But I never do that with, I never say like, oh, it's never a he. It's always a she.
He's usually not giving. We're rarely impressed by men, okay? We need to understand that.
That is a whole universal idea. Okay,
Let me tell
We're not
you.
impressed.
No. No.
always she.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Kamie, for having me.
Of course. Can you tell everyone where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Alyx Liu. I have a TikTok that I don't really use, but you can check me out there too.
Yes.
And yeah, that's
Where
my
can they
choice
shop
platform.
Utiless?
Utiless is on utilesbeauty.com, UTILESbeauty.com.
Yes.
And yeah, if you have any type of hair that's longer than your shoulders and you need to tie your hair up, girl, check them out. We have a few different sizes too, and many neutral colors too, which are very inclusive. And yeah, I hope you like the hair ties. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Like, honestly, any opportunity to talk about like queer joy and queer things in general,
yes,
I appreciate it. And like,
of course,
yeah, people don't talk about like queer dating experiences too enough. I realized I'm like, wait, this might be the first time I'm ever talking about like how dating is for me.
Well, that's what, when you were talking about it at the table and you said speed dating, I was like, what is it?
Yeah.
Where is it? Can I go? No. Okay. Well, can I hear about it after?
Right.
And I think that first of all, you are doing an amazing fucking job.
Thank you.
Creating spaces and opportunities for people to feel seen and accepted and safe.
Yeah.
I think safety is such a big part of it that people don't realize. Cis people don't realize. Obviously, cishet people don't realize shit because they're fucking stupid.
Right. Cis homo people
Stupid
don't
on purpose.
Cis homo people also don't realize shit oftentimes too. You know, like I just get yes queened and we ho all the time. But am I ever included? No, I'm never included. I'm very ostracized still. But
I fucking hate that. So
Yeah.
there's so many more conversations to be had.
Yeah.
And so many more things to be done and
Yeah.
spaces to be created. So I'm just honored that you came here and you
Thank
felt
you.
safe and were available even because
Yeah.
you'd be doing the hair is down, honey. Ariana needs her ponies and I know that, but I appreciate you giving me just your time.
thank
So,
you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
course.
Yeah, it means a lot.
Thanks,
so,
guys.
Thank you, Kamie. Thank you guys for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm Kamie Crawford, host of the Relationshit podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more videos, click below to subscribe and like this video for more Dear Media content. So shut up and listen.